Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I came on here to rant a bit to you guys about some drama that's been happening in my family and to ask for advice. My sister-in-law recently learned Spanish because her husband is from Ecuador, and Spanish is his first language. I actually really respect her for learning to speak his language to communicate better so her husband doesn't have to speak English 100% of the time. My sister-in-law and I have not been that close, but a while ago she invited me over to eat at their place. Her husband offered to make ceviche for us since he was a cook in Ecuador before he moved to the US a few years ago to marry my sister-in-law. They met while she was on vacation in Ecuador, so he decided to live in the US with her. I agreed to come to visit their place and eat with them, especially since my own husband has been busy these past few months. My husband has his own restaurant and business has been good, so he's working almost 24/7, except when he comes home to sleep. I went to their house a few days ago, but the visit did not go as expected. The food my sister-in-law's husband made was great, and we had some small talk in the beginning about my husband's business. Everything was fine so far. But while they were cleaning up in the kitchen, I heard them talk to each other in Spanish. What they both don't know is that I also know some Spanish. I took it as an elective in high school, which is something I never brought up with them because I felt like it was irrelevant. I don't like using my Spanish because I feel like I forgot most of what I learned and my pronunciation is not the best. But I do know enough to understand what my sister-in-law and her husband were talking about in the kitchen. My sister-in-law was complaining about how I am so wasteful with the money my husband earns for us. We had talked about the fact that his business is going so well that I don't have to work earlier while eating. So now she called me a gold digger in Spanish to her husband and said that I was spending my husband's money on stupid things like expensive clothes and bags. I mean, yes, I was wearing brand name clothes and had my new Michael Kors bag with me that evening, but I mainly dressed up out of respect for my sister-in-law and her husband. I just wanted to look good. It's not like I am constantly shopping or like my whole wardrobe is expensive stuff. At first, I tried to ignore her rude comments and just went about my business. But throughout the evening, she kept sneakily saying nasty things about me to her husband, so I decided to record our conversation on my phone to show this to my husband later. I caught her saying lots of disgusting words and even calling my outfit ugly minutes after she had said I spent too much money on clothes. It sounded like jealousy to me, to be honest. Eventually, she switched the topic and made a comment about my husband's business that really crossed the line. She started talking shit about my husband's restaurant and told her husband that she recently left a bad review on Google with multiple fake accounts where she commented that the restaurant is dirty and the food is disgusting. Now, I'm not sure what to do with the recording. Should I confront her? Should I show it to my husband so he can take action legally? I'm just really confused and hurt right now. I never thought my sister-in-law would be so cruel to not just me, but her own brother. Update 1. I decided to go see my husband at the restaurant while he was working and tell him about everything. He was shocked and angry his sister would insult me like that. When I told him about the bad reviews his sister left, he lost it. I mean, it is a really seriously messed up thing to do. These days, a few bad reviews on Google can ruin your whole reputation and affect the business a lot. He said he would speak to her about it, and he did. She denied everything. She and her husband were playing all innocent in front of him and pretended as if they would never say or do something like that ever. My husband believes me, though, especially since I recorded everything and translated it for him. I knew I had to take action, so I have decided to sue my sister-in-law for defamation. My husband agreed, but he wants me to take care of the situation since he's so busy at work. So I gathered all the evidence I had recorded of her insulting me and my husband's business in Spanish and went to a lawyer. The lawyer said we had a strong case, especially since there was evidence of the bad reviews my sister-in-law had left, and that they would be able to trace it back to her. The lawyer said that we could potentially win a large settlement. I'll update once this case progresses further. Update 2. My sister-in-law was served with legal papers, and she was shocked, to say the least. She couldn't believe that I would take such drastic action against her. She tried to apologize and begged me to drop the lawsuit, but I refused. I want her to pay for what she has done, and of course I mainly want to protect my husband's business. However, the legal process has been stressful and time-consuming. It's even taking a toll on me and my relationship with my husband. He is supportive, but he also feels like I am obsessing over the case and neglecting other important aspects of our life. He's also worried about the impact that this lawsuit will have on his business. He is concerned that it could attract negative attention and hurt his reputation. I assured him that everything will be fine and that we are doing the right thing. Update 3. The legal process was long and stressful, but we made it out alive. During the trial, my sister-in-law tried to defend herself by claiming that she was just joking and didn't mean to harm anyone. But the evidence, including the recordings I had made, were too strong. In the end, the judge ruled in our favor and ordered my sister-in-law to pay a large sum of money as compensation for the damage she had caused. She also had to delete her bad reviews and make a public apology. It was a bittersweet victory, as we have lost a family relationship, but we are relieved that the business is safe. However, the aftermath of the lawsuit was not easy. My husband's family has been blaming me for causing the rift and ruining their relationship with us. They accuse me of being selfish and vindictive and refuse to acknowledge their role in the situation. I know that I have done the right thing, though. I couldn't let someone insult and damage my husband's business without consequences. In the end, we decided to cut ties with my sister-in-law and her husband and focus on building our business and our own family. Update 4. Hi Reddit, I want to update you guys because my husband gave me a piece of information today that made everything make sense. Remember how my sister-in-law acted jealous of our business and money? Well, turns out she and her husband have been having financial issues for a while now. They came to my husband a few months ago to ask for a job for my sister-in-law's husband. I remember writing in my original post that her husband is Ecuadorian and he used to be a cook in his home country. Turns out he was begging my husband for the opportunity to work in his restaurant as a cook. But my husband admitted that he turned him down because my husband's restaurant is focused on Italian food, and he doesn't trust his sister's husband to be able to deal with a completely different cuisine than what he is used to cooking. So he told him no and left both his sister and her husband hanging. His sister has been working 2 jobs to support both of them for a while now since her husband is having a hard time finding a job in the US. He doesn't know much English, so he keeps getting rejected. I am kind of mad that my husband just told me about this now. I would have interpreted the snarky comments my sister-in-law made differently. It's obvious to me that she was jealous since she has to work so hard and they still don't have money. Meanwhile, I'm walking around with my designer bag and expensive clothes, not having to work at all. I can see how that rubbed her the wrong way, and I don't even blame her for that. Still, I feel like leaving bad ratings online was a really bad move from her side, and she should not have done that. I feel bad now, though, that we went through court to settle our issues because now my sister-in-law and her husband are going to be in even more financial trouble. Meanwhile, I and my husband have more than enough money to take care of our needs. I feel guilty, and as I said, I'm mad at my husband for not telling me about all of this earlier. What do you guys think? AITA? Is my husband? Or is it my sister-in-law and her husband like I originally thought? Update 5. Success, everyone. I convinced my husband to give my sister-in-law and her husband their money back. I had to talk to him for a long time and nag him about it, but he finally agreed to do it since we don't need the money and they do. I might even think about helping them out somehow if I can. Maybe I'll find a different restaurant for her husband to work at. They're still family, in a way, and now that I understand where they were coming from, I'm not really mad anymore. Hopefully, we'll be able to repair our relationship and get along without having to put each other down in the future. NTA, you were absolutely right to stand up for your husband and his business. Your sister-in-law's behavior was unacceptable and she needed to be held accountable. I'm glad that you were able to protect your family and their livelihood. It's on her and her husband if they can't find a job. I think you were very nice to give them the money back, but I think I would have been too petty to do something like that. Let them deal with their issues. YTA, while I understand your frustration with your sister-in-law's insults, I think taking legal action was a bit extreme. It could have been better to try to address the situation directly with her and have a conversation about how her words were hurtful and unacceptable. And in the end, you realized they actually had reasons to be mad. Also, why would your husband not let his sister's husband work in the restaurant? That's a-hole behavior to me. NTA, it's concerning that your sister-in-law was insulting you and your husband in a language you don't understand, or she thought you didn't. It's a clear sign of disrespect and shows that she doesn't value your feelings. I'm really glad you were able to find a way to prove what she was saying and take action to protect your family. Next story. My beautiful fiancé, Lily, and I are currently planning a wedding. I know it is going to be an amazing day, but holy shit, has it been drama. My mom got married 6 months ago to Kyle, who is banned from our wedding because he was overheard insulting Lily's appearance. He implied she was fat and asked my mom if that was just bad filler in her face or what. This devastated Lily, and needless to say, I hate Kyle's frickin' guts. My mom is super anxious about coming alone, and I do get that. We don't have any extended family, so she isn't going to have anyone to talk to, and she isn't the type to go socialize and make friends. I am trying to be sympathetic because I'd be uncomfortable in her position as well. However, I am struggling with sympathy because she chose to marry that a-hole Kyle, and she has been a pain in the ass about the wedding. My mom only has 2 friends. Her best friend, Meg, is just nasty and has said horrible things about us. She's 100% not invited. Her other friend, Ella, seems fine, so I asked my mom about her. My mom told me that Ella isn't willing to come due to an affair between her husband and my future mother-in-law years ago. She said it really messed Ella up mentally and she never wants to see mother-in-law again. Then my mom smirked and said since we are ruining her life by not letting her bring Kyle and causing her so much anxiety, we should uninvite mother-in-law so she can bring Ella. Obviously, that isn't an option, and at that point, I lost my temper. I yelled at her that we would never uninvite mother-in-law, who has always been a kick-ass mom for my bitch mom who chose some guy over her child, and if she wants to be with an a-hole who speaks like that, she deserves this anxiety. I said we will never choose her over mother-in-law, which must suck, knowing I don't even like mother-in-law. I don't know if I took it too far because she already has the attitude that my in-laws are treated better and being a boy mom sucks, and she has already pulled away a lot due to those feelings. NTA, your mom is a grown-ass adult and needs to act like one. It's your wedding, OP, not hers. If she doesn't want to attend alone, tell her not to come. I wouldn't allow someone who insulted my significant other and didn't apologize by the sounds of it to my wedding either. I don't condone speaking this way to your mother unless she deserves it. In this case, my friend, she absolutely does. Your mother is manipulative. Her excuse sounds manufactured and based on lies she made up about your mother-in-law to get you to do what you were told. Mommy Dearest will do everything in her power to manipulate you into alienating yourself from your in-laws at whatever cost. Absolutely invite your mother-in-law. Maybe you should tell your mother she isn't invited. You don't have to risk any drama taking place on one of the happiest days of your life. Your mother is an instigator, so any instigators can stay home. Your mother chose to play favorites. She chose to take sides. She treated you like shit. So she made her own bed, and you can force her to lie in it. After all, she ruined any possibility of a happy life for you growing up. It's only fair that you ruin any chance that she gets to sabotage the future where you finally get the happiness you deserve and want. NTA. Next story. My fiance had his daughter, my stepdaughter, unexpectedly shortly before we met. Despite being a month apart, he and his daughter's mother could not have more different financial situations. On paper, she is wildly successful, graduated college with no student loans, a stable career, owns her own house outright in a great area, and even has ample money in savings. My fiance, on the other hand, is buried in student debt, and there's no way we'll ever own a home. My in-laws hate the situation with his daughter. They hate that we live so far away, but more than that, they're embarrassed that we aren't anywhere near as established as her mother is when we're the same age. We're currently stuck where we are, so we can't have that much custody right now, and they understand that. They never fail to bring up how much more stable her mother is, and always have snide comments about everything she's doing that we couldn't even dream of helping with. The truth about her is that she's only financially stable because she's a freaking thief. She stole her parents' estate using a loophole to contest the will, even though she knew they wanted her to get nothing, and then proceeded to sell their house for $400,000 more than it was worth by straight up committing fraud. The poor family that bought the house even tried to sue her, but lost due to technicalities. I'm sorry if I'm not willing to sympathize with and praise a woman that used her bad childhood to justify becoming a monster. Okay, fine, she broke generational cycles and only had a child once she was stable. But she only got there by lying, cheating, and stealing until she took absolutely everything she felt she deserved, no matter what it took or who she had to hurt. Yes, she did have a terrible childhood, but she's not a good person now. My fiancé only wants to keep the peace with his parents, so he never says anything. But I'm tired of them making it seem like he's a deadbeat just because he doesn't have as much money as Miss Bernadette Madoff. When they came to visit a month ago, I printed out all of the court records and laid them out on the table so they would finally have to face the truth. Now they're mad at me for being petty and jealous, and my fiancé is mad because it got him uninvited for Christmas. AITA? I just wanted them to lose their rose-colored glasses about her. Her name was on the will as their inheritor. She was only verbally disinherited. Parents can say many things in anger, but they were educated enough to have her name on the will, and so presumably knew that they had taken her name off the will if they actually wanted to disinherit her. By pursuing to acquire and sell the property she was legally willed does not make her a thief. She overpriced her property and the buyers bought it. Says more about the lack of research and diligence of the buyers rather than the seller. Your in-laws are wrong that they constantly compare your combined financial success or lack of it to hers. In that they are wrong and completely toxic, low contact is the best way ahead. But legally, X is not a thief. YTA for the pettiness. YTA. Sounds like sour grapes and bitterness here. If she was successful in contesting her parents' estate, then at the very least she must have been able to show that she had a reasonable expectation of financial support. And when it comes to purchasing property, caveat emptor, sounds like the purchasers failed to do their due diligence. None of this is illegal, and yes, my background is a legal one. Don't get me wrong, it sucks that the in-laws won't lay off their son for things he really can't help. But OP really is just making a nasty situation a whole lot worse. The woman who did this must be a genius to get away with all these illegal activities. Two of the good things you said about her were that she graduated college and has a successful career. If you can't prove that she did the illegal stuff, I would keep my mouth shut. Obviously, if she got away with it, then there isn't enough proof to prove she is a criminal. It really comes across as jealousy and sour grapes on your part. I don't really see why you feel the need to comment on this. It really has nothing to do with you. YTA. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.